Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of X Vlog Live. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And ladies and gentlemen, we have an incredible show for you. We got some breaking news. We have more detective work from Idle Sloth. And we're going to be talking about the coalition. We're going to be talking about Atomic Heart, which, by the way, looks ridiculously cool. I watched the
Mhm.
8-minute trailer 3 times. It is something incredibly unique and special, and it is a day one Game Pass drop on the level of a AAA bomb. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Last night on Primetime Gaming, we talked about how the FTC has once again lost to another challenger. Of course, this was to Meta. This is now Lena Khan's eighth loss while holding the position of chairperson. We know that there is a lot of things happening with ABK, specifically because the EU Commission has sent their checklist of concerns. The CMA is expected to do that as well in the coming days. From what we understand, it looks like Microsoft is going to agree to some significant concessions to get this done, and the FTC is going to be left holding the bag. And we have another piece of information regarding Sony being subpoenaed by Microsoft. Well, folks, guess what? Now the FTC has gotten involved, and this has now turned very serious. And we're going to get into
Yep.
that as well because the FTC has officially subpoenaed Sony Interactive Entertainment, specifically PlayStation, and are asking for certain things that they're going to have to deliver. But before we get into all of that, Retri, obviously
Yes.
the showrunner of Game Pass _ Daily. How you feeling, brother? Welcome.
Feeling good, Boom. I'm excited that you invited me to this show in particular because I did roll credits on Hi-Fi Rush and
Close.
and
I'm close.
yeah, and on top of that, we're talking Atomic Heart, which is another game that is very high, and it's been high on my list for a long time. I've been watching that game, and I'm super excited for that when that comes out onto Game Pass and all these other topics. I mean, Uh, a lot of times we talk negative stuff, and not today. On my side, there's a lot of positivity that's coming out of all this breaking news that's coming out as well. So I'm excited to talk about everything today. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's open up with your opinion on what happened with the FTC that was reported at the beginning of the week. Obviously, Meta was trying to buy a VR company to help with their VR needs, and the FTC looked to block and sue. That's been in court for a while, and we learned as early as yesterday morning that the FTC has once again chalked up another loss in federal court. This is devastating for anyone that trusts the FTC to, you know, sue somebody for something that's illegal. And I use the word illegal specifically, Retri, because a lot of the things that the FTC is currently doing is they're trying to be very cheeky about the law. They're trying to cut around the lines and be very specific to use the law to their advantage rather than use the law for what it has been written for. And we have learned that, Retri, because they are currently in the midst of being sued by a company that thought that some of the things that they were doing to stop them from doing or buying or acquiring different things, and they used basically every trick in the bag to make this case drag along,
Yeah,
and that's
stall
considered
tactics.
illegal. Yeah, and I'm
Yep.
talking about Exxon AXO on Enterprise versus the Trade Commission or the FTC docket number 21-86. And this is currently being seen by the Supreme Court. And it looks and it sounds, Retri, like they're going to lose there as well. Now, many people in the community, and again, we wish we had Hogue Law here. Now he's still here, and he's getting better, and he's doing his damnedest to recover from a stroke at the end of last year, and we've been getting updates from his amazing wife. So heartfelt get well soon to Hogue Law. So we
Yep.
have to kind of deal with this ourselves because, well, he was the maestro, if you will, when it came to this stuff. And I could just imagine him sitting in front of his camera.
He's got to be itchy as a mofo right now.
Saying,
Just want to go live.
An 8-hour podcast right now. So Hogue, if you're listening, brother, we love you. We can't wait for you to come back. But I do want to reel this in. Not specifically with the Supreme Court thing, because that we know is that decision from the Supreme Court is coming in the next few weeks. I want to talk about what this loss potentially does for Microsoft's case, because I am in the belief that, first of all, I believe that Lena Khan is not going to be in the chair by the end of the year if this kind of stuff continues. And I say that not because I dislike her. I don't like some of the things. I'm a big fan of written law. Now, I will tell you not all law is correct 100% of the time, but it's written for order. What I don't like about the FTC is how they are using this cut and paste mentality or ideology to go up against someone like Microsoft, who is doing things for its fans, its customers, that no one else is doing. Now, I understand there's going to be people in this chat that are PlayStation fans. And you know what? I'm a PlayStation fan too. But you have
Same here.
to admit, Retri, that PlayStation does a lot of dirty, underhanded things to their fans consistently. And they get away with it because they're bullish. They have balls the size of the Empire State Building, and because they're the market leader. And what Microsoft is doing in attempt to get ABK is add much more than we could imagine in regards to content to a service that we pay for, right? I explicitly talk about Game Pass, and we're going to get into a Game Pass and its effect on games like HiFi and potentially atomicheart. But I'm interested to get your thoughts on what you think this loss, this very, very public, mud-in-the-face loss to Meta does for Microsoft's chances of closing this deal and potentially having the FTC come back to the table with their tail tucked between their legs to just accept whatever deal that they're going to, because obviously what's going to eventually, what is expected to happen, Retri, is Microsoft is going to, and they are right now sitting down with the EU Commission as well as the CMA and saying, okay, here's the cheat sheet. This is what we're concerned. We're going to address those concerns. They're going to come together. They're going to approve the deal, and then at that point, the FTC is screwed. Your thoughts?
I told y'all. That's my thought. I said a while ago that there was no good reason for Facebook and this VR thing that was going on with the FTC for Facebook not to win. And a lot of people didn't like that because facts hurt, I guess. I don't know. But the truth is it didn't make any sense, right? There was no reason for them not to absolutely wipe the floor with the FTC just because they don't like Facebook. Obviously, just because they don't like Microsoft, we're seeing what's happening. Like you said earlier, they're taking everything out of Sony's playbook and just copying and pasting it and saying, this is why we're suing Microsoft. This is why the ABK deal is no good. And it's complete BS. It's all about big tech. Has nothing to do with Xbox. It has everything to do with Microsoft in totality as a large tech company. So am I shocked that, Facebook won this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not even a little bit. So I'm glad, as much as I can't stand Facebook, it was the right thing to happen. And hopefully the right thing will happen again, because as we know, we see Xbox's numbers aren't looking great in compared to Sony's, who are all looking on the positive, right? Not that surprising. A lot of people got to remember this is year over year too. So you're comparing it to record breaking years. Like, yeah, your numbers are probably going to go down because of COVID. Just gaming went through the roof. It's one of the only industries that didn't take a major hit and actually went up and did the exact opposite. So uh, I'm not surprised, Boom. I'm glad it happened. It's another loss for the FTC. It's not like I'm sitting here constantly cheering for the FTC to lose either. You know, there's some merit to some cases where I think they are in the right and big tech was getting too big. I'm not a big tech guy. I'm actually the opposite. I don't want to see big tech get too big. But in this sector for Xbox, specifically for this, it makes sense for this to go through 1,000%. All their arguments are crap. I've read them all. They're bad. Uh, the concessions that are going on with the EU right now, I can't, like I've said in other podcasts, I think that list is going to be much longer and more stretched out than people can possibly imagine. I think there's going to be a lot of concessions that Microsoft is willing to give over and kind of be like, we're willing to do a lot more than maybe people are realizing because they want this so bad. They want this so bad. And if this extends beyond the, you know, the end date, I don't think Microsoft's going anywhere. I don't think the fight is going to be done. I really don't. I think they're going to see this through. There's too many billions of dollars at risk for them to lose. So I don't think Microsoft is ever going to give up on the ABK deal until it goes all the way to federal. If it has to go that far, I think they'll take it all the way, which is good and bad at the same time because I want more acquisitions because I'm greedy and I want more stuff in Game Pass. There's a lot of studios I want them to buy. I got a long list, and that obviously is not going to happen until this deal is over with. So I am getting a little sick and tired of talking about ABK, but it is what it is, and I don't see Microsoft stopping ever.
Well, I mean, listen, to be fair, we haven't talked about ABK in weeks because there hasn't been
Yeah.
anything to talk about. But I, you know, listen, at the end of the day, we have heard, you know, we've read, we've heard the complaints. Obviously, before he got sick, Hoglaw went into very explicit detail from a lawyer's point of view, which he's an acquisitions lawyer. That's what he does. So he understands
Right.
the finite points that go over my head. Because, like I said, I understand law, but I understand patrol guide law. Law for being a criminal versus being a good guy. I don't understand business law. I mean, I would go to him. But I before we move on to the Atomic Heart and the Hi-Fi Rush and the Game Pass, what the Game Pass effect is what I'm calling it.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I got to bring up what happened with the FTC and Sony. I think, look, Sony, we learned last Wednesday that Jim Ryan was flying to here, there, and everywhere, back to Brussels, back to different
Yeah.
entities to once again push his agenda about how this deal is bad for the industry when we know it's not. We know that he wants to, PlayStation wants to have their boot on the neck of the industry as they've had for many years. So some would even argue that it's for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
Like I've said this, even when this, if you go pull the tapes, folks, go all the way back to January and February when we were talking about this almost every show because it was the biggest news in gaming history. I was very adamant about what happens after the deal closes. And when Microsoft can, at any holiday, put Call of Duty on the box for their console, whatever console it is at the time, or the streaming box. They put that $99 box and they have Call of Duty
Mm-hmm.
on the box, and it's sitting there, and it's $100, and it comes with a controller, and it says "Play Call of Duty now," and people are going to be racing to it and buying it, right?
Yep.
When I read to you exactly what happened, okay, now Sony was subpoenaed by Microsoft to produce documentation about deals that they have had and currently have for exclusive PlayStation content. See, that's the kicker here.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about multi-plat. We're not talking about games that are going to be on multiple systems but marketed by Microsoft, like Hogwarts or Street Fighter or Tekken, right? We're not talking about those deals. Those deals are just marketing deals. That happens in gaming all the time. It's not that big of a deal. The bigger deal here is, as Phil Spencer has said, PlayStation makes itself bigger by making Microsoft and Xbox smaller. That's what they've done for years. So now Microsoft said, okay, this deal is so important to us, we're going to start subpoenaing different entities, Sony being one of them, and they're going to have to tip their hand and say, what deals you had, what deals you currently have now, and what deals you might have in the future.
Right.
And they've been stalling, and they've been holding off, and they've been asking for extensions. Well, folks, I got news for you. Once again, thanks to Idle Sloth, who dropped it into the DM and put it on the socials.
Mm-hmm.
They have now, and I say they, PlayStation has officially been subpoenaed by the FTC to deliver the documents that Microsoft has requested, and they have until February 15th now. 2 weeks
The exact same date that Sony was extending to for Microsoft too, or asking them to extend to, which I felt was a little odd.
now again, I don't know if what the relevance of it, other than my personal feeling that I think the FTC loses this case to Meta, right? They're under the microscope by our government. That's like, what is happening here? We're wasting millions and millions of dollars on these frivolous cases that you said you don't care if you lose. You see, that's the problem that I have with Lena Khan and the FTC that's led by her. They came out and they said bullishly, we don't care if we lose. That is an inherent problem. So rewinding a few seconds, Retri, what does this mean? Is it now? Has the shit hit the fan for Sony? Talk about it.
Yep. Like I said weeks ago, Sony's gonna regret this, and it's happening. Their books are getting opened up. FTC clearly didn't do any damn research whatsoever, and now they're going. I feel like they're like, crap. Like, maybe there's something to this. Maybe we should look at Sony too. And here we are. It's happening. Sony, you poked the bear, dude. Now you're getting poked back. I mean, it's just karma for Sony, and it's nice to see that the FTC is doing this subpoena as well. So, and it's got the exact same date, which is odd. February 15th, I think it was. And we'll see if Sony tries to delay it with the FTC as well. I don't know how many times you can delay a subpoena. Like, how many times can you push the, kick the can down the road? I mean, they've already done it at least twice that I know of. I don't know. Maybe you know this, Boom. Is there a point where you can't continuously push it back?
Listen, I can say this. I have been involved personally in cases. Now, I can't get into specifics. I've been retired for years, and this case that I'm talking about specifically is, Jesus Christmas, is a decade old. There was a particular situation with a robbery that the defense kept pushing the date. There came a point where they came to court, and the same judge was overseeing it, and they asked for another extension. And the judge said, if you ask for another extension, I'm going to find you in contempt of court. Now, could that logistically happen in business law? I would imagine so.
Right.
At some point, and again, it gets into...
I mean, isn't that kind of what's going on with Axon in the first place? Where they feel like the FTC is doing this sort of stuff themselves? Never mind Sony pushing back the subpoena. They feel like the FTC is kind of twiddling their thumbs and taking $70 billion deals and pushing it down the road to make Microsoft possibly just give up, which I think is part of their strategy.
Ultimately, that's the goal.
Yeah.
That was their initial plan. Hey, let's keep pushing and they're going to get so sick of our delays, and again, just for clarification, the reason why that this was not immediately brought to federal court is because the FTC is using a tactic that they are currently being sued for. And once again, the company that they're being sued by is Axon Enterprises. And basically, what happened with this particular situation is Axon, like Microsoft, wanted to acquire something. And what kept happening is the FTC has kept this case in the lower courts, meaning their court system. And they've been delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. And every time they delay it or they come up with a ruling, it has to be challenged by Axon Enterprise. And those challenges sometimes take upwards of 12, 18, or 24 months. So what they're attempting to do is leverage the power of the FTC and their own court system. So entities like Microsoft, like Axon, will just be like, you know what, we're wasting millions of dollars here.
I was just going to mention that it's a good tactic.
We're just going to pass it up.
It's a good tactic to make you spend all your money, right, and just make you quit because you just don't have any more budget in your legal fund as well. So. Not that luckily Microsoft don't have that problem, and I don't think this tactic from the FTC is going to work whatsoever on Microsoft at all. I can see them, like I said earlier, going all the way as long as they need to, to
this
possibly the detriment of more acquisitions. But
well,
still.
I mean, look, a perfect example, folks. Look, I have said this to the point of nauseum. One of the biggest, pointing the fingers or exclamation points or flag into the sand that you can look at this deal hurting Microsoft's other acquisitions is what happened with Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, and more specifically, the Tomb Raider IP. Microsoft has $300 million in the couch cushions of their offices, folks.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm being facetious, but it's Microsoft, right? That you don't think they would have dropped $300 million to acquire 50 plus IP, one of which is the most iconic female-led character in gaming.
Yeah.
Right. And on top of that, I don't know. Maybe because both of those teams, Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics, are currently working on two of your biggest first-party games, you wouldn't like to acquire them so you don't have to lease their services out. So this deal has hurt Microsoft in more ways than one, and the more it gets hung up, the more slips through their fingers.
Right. Or you have guys like Amazon, possibly Tencent, possibly Sony taking pieces out of what Microsoft could have gotten. So
100%. Look, at the end of the day, this deal is not only going to get done, but I believe it gets done before June. And like I said, I can't specifically say I haven't seen anything to suggest that the CMA is and the EU Commission are not going to accept concessions because they already have said so. We'll know what the CMA is asking for, I believe, in a couple of days. And we might even have maybe when that comes out, I would imagine that both entities, even though they are separate from each other in Europe, they'll be talking with each other and they'll accept the same concessions. And Microsoft is going to give up significant concessions for this to get done because it is an important deal. And I really got to say, folks, and we're going to move on from here, that it's not about Call of Duty. If you think that it is, I'm here to tell you, you got to look at the broader picture. It is about mobile. It is about PC. And when Microsoft can get Microsoft owns Blizzard. Blizzard is PC. PC is Blizzard. King is mobile. Mobile is king, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where they don't have a big presence, but they will. And I mean, Call of Duty, yes, I get it. It's Call of Duty, but
it's a big deal. It's a big moneymaker.
It is
most money it's ever made.
Yeah, pretty much.
I agree with you, Boom. It's nothing to do with Call of Duty really in the long run. So,
Yeah.
but it's it's not about your feelings, guys. It's about business for Microsoft. That's why I think they're willing to do almost any concession to get this deal through because it's such a big deal for them. It's too big to give up. That includes something that'll piss a lot of Xbox guys off, and that could be even Bethesda. I don't know if they roll back. And make no mistake, that can happen. Okay, do your research.
It's unlikely.
It's unlikely,
Yeah.
but they've done it with Facebook. It can 100% happen. Retroactive. They can come after you 10 years later. They can do it. Just keep that in mind. That would be like crazy town type of theory stuff, but who knows? I mean,
I think the craziest thing that we see come out of this is offering it into PlayStation Plus day and date, the same as Game Pass. And
that one I don't see
I
happening.
That is as crazy town as I can see because look, the FTC, the CMA, and the EU Commission, all they have to do is go look at what was posted by Tae Kim, that knucklehead, Mr. Sony himself. Obviously, Sony has made bank. They're the market leader both in presence and in financial wins compared to Microsoft taking L's left and right. So they are the market leader for a reason. And listen, at the end of the day, there are going to be concessions. I don't think we're going to see anything that's going to be so outrageous. I can't believe this is happening. But we'll know. We'll know soon enough. But let me catch up on some of the super chats that have come in. First of all, Thanaros, who's been a channel member for 40 months. Thanks so much for that, dude. I super appreciate it. He says, "Good day, everyone." So good day to you as well, Thanaros. Thank you for the incredible support. Dreadful Sean drops an outstanding $20 super chat and says, "I usually listen the day after you go live. And I wanted to get your opinion on this. Jim Ryan flying to all of the regulators to plead his case and get the ABK deal blocked because his job is on the line if it goes through."
No.
Look.
No way.
I don't think his job is on the line. I think what he has done to gum up the situation with his connections in the EU, as we know he has, is probably what's going to keep him his job. If he didn't give up a fight.
Absolutely, Boom.
Yeah, I think if he would have went like this, I don't care, let them get it, then he would have lost his job. I think the fact that he put on such a fight and put on such an act, that was Oscar worthy about, oh my God, we don't have, there's no PlayStation without Call of Duty. Look at the numbers.
We're not going to make it. We won't survive this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly that him gumming up the situation probably saved his job.
Make no mistake. SIE absolutely loves that guy. They love that guy. He has made them so much money. It's not even funny. He ain't no Phil Spencer. He's not a gamer. He's a business guy, and he's good at it. He's ruthless as hell. So obviously, what he's been doing. I mean, look what happened. What he did in Europe. It worked. Right. But he turned Europe around quickly. So I mean, he's not going anywhere. I would love to see someone more game centric running Sony, but dollars and cents, man, they go further. Luckily we got Phil, so I'm happy.
No, absolutely. I'd rather have Phil than Jim any day of the week.
100%. 100%.
Brett Bingham, who's been a channel member for 2 months. Thanks so much for that, Brett. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Is it possible Microsoft is trying to avoid shipping hype AAA titles like Starfield before ABK is completed?" Saw Plume posted 6/29 launch date. I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but at this,
it kind of does a little bit
at this stage. If what do you call it? Starfield dropped tomorrow. Is it going to change the numbers for that much for Microsoft to go from potentially third or fourth to first? No, it's just not. So I don't know. I mean, I mean, Retro and I were talking.
I mean,
in the room before.
Yeah, I was gonna say we did talk about.
Yeah, it's funny talk about it for a hot second. Yeah,
it's funny that Brett brings that up because we did kind of discuss that. And give me another good reason outside of ABK deal why they weren't at the VGAs. Give me one, like a solid one, please, anybody. Because I don't understand it. Like I don't know why they wouldn't have been there unless they were trying to be like, we're not that big of a deal. Nothing's going on. Nothing to see over here, folks, which is fine. We got the cool, developer direct, which I absolutely love. But I think there is something to that. I think maybe Microsoft tried it, but I don't think they can continue to do that. Obviously, they need.
Yeah, no, they need to start releasing games.
They need to release games,
especially first party games. Like I said, we're gonna get into Game Pass in a second, but I do want to bring up what I sent you, Retri. Hold on a second.
Sure.
Now, once again, I must give a huge shout out to Idle Sloth of Twitter. He's a good friend of mine. He constantly drops things into my DM. He constantly does. Yeah, again, he's not a
I'm just kidding, Idle.
He's a robot. He posted something that I wanted to talk about because I think that we're going to segue into the Game Pass effect after this topic, and I bring it up because the Coalition. Now, obviously, they're known as the Gears guys and gals, right? That's what they do. But a lot of people forget that early last year, they were tasked to show off the power of Unreal Engine 5. And they were the studio that that brings you Fortnite asked for help because they're all ex-Epic guys. And they brought us the Matrix demo, which was phenomenal for what it was.
Insane.
Yeah. Go back. I don't know if you can still play it or not because I haven't touched it in a while. I know I'd have it downloaded. But it is pretty ridiculous. I was going to say epic, and I would make no pun intended. But Jeff Grubb, good friend of this program, great friend of the community. He's currently with, of course, Giant Bomb. He went and did some digging, as Jeff Grubb does, and he has learned that not only has work on Gears of War 6 started, they are close with a second project that we have known about for a while. Now, it is, from what we understand, a new IP. It is something that they are doing. It's a smaller Pentiment level, HiFi level sized game. And we even heard that we could see it potentially at E3, and it should potentially, again, it's all potentially, and take it with a grain of salt, release next year. So, Retri, my question to you, and then again, we're going to segue into the Game Pass effect. There is no better studio in gaming right now that knows the ins, the outs, the back doors, the secret levels of Unreal Engine, specifically Unreal Engine 5, because they've been working on it. And again, I'm only saying what I heard. I could be 1,000% wrong. They were one of the first studios to get the early build on it, to start working and learning it. Now, the Coalition, whether you like them, you love them, or you hate them, they're the masters of the Unreal Engine. I'm curious, because again, Pentiment, small project. Josh Sawyer does what he does, incredibly writing, right? Small team. Grounded, small team. HiFirush, small team. What should fans expect from this non-Gears project?
I have no clue.
Yeah,
I'm good. I didn't really want it to be non-Gears. I was kind of hoping it was going to be Gears, like a horror type of game, because I want to kind of bring back like Gears 1 and just how scary, the game kind of was to me. I would have loved for them to go in that direction, but honestly, like after playing HiFirush and Grounded is great. I haven't even touched Pentiment. Just I've played games like it. Just doesn't look like my bag. But the success of all that stuff, I'm excited to. I mean, Coalition, like they're on a different level in my opinion than than everybody else. So I'm excited to see what they could do. I have no clue, Boom. Like, have we even gotten hints of what it could be
No, nothing.
on that in that regard? I
This
mean, I know we've
outs
heard about the small project for a while. That's
Yes. I was
it's
just
been
literally
around
gonna say that
for a
outside
while.
of knowing that they were working on another project that was apparently not Gears related,
Yeah.
that's all we know. Again,
Because
and
Aaron slipped that a long time ago. Aaron
he
Greenberg
did.
slipped that
He
on
did.
Twitter and then deleted it. So I think he said too much at the time. I don't know if I don't remember if he's spoken about it ever since, but I do remember him. It was there and then it was gone. So I think maybe maybe he tipped his hat a little too soon at the time, but it's exciting. Like I love that Microsoft is allowing these studios to do smaller projects, and I think we'll discuss that a little bit. The reasons why that
Well, you know
might
what?
be a good
Yeah,
idea.
you know what?
Unless you want to hop right in.
Yeah, I think we have enough time here. Again, I want to read a couple of the tweets from Idle Sloth because they all are fold one into the other. His second tweet that he talks about this, he said, and the game, talking about the game, the non Gears Unreal Engine 5 project by the Coalition, it was supposed to release this year at the earliest. But
Right.
apparently, according to what he's thinking, Microsoft's strategy going forward is to let these big teams work on smaller things, which means
Yes.
that they're going to have a lot of side projects that are smaller, quote unquote, pentiment-sized games on top of the big AAA bombs. I think
Yep.
I think it's a fantastic strategy. If they have the team size to
Yeah.
dedicate to a smaller, passion project like we've seen them do Retri, I'm all for it. And
Yeah.
he goes on to say and finish off in the case of the coalition getting more experience with the Unreal Engine 5. The reason why they're working on this small project is so that they can then take that knowledge and move on to Gear 6, which is supposedly started work. Now, where is it? It's probably like very, very early, but
Right.
it started. And he goes on to say that so far it has paid off with Grounded, as we mentioned, but but it really does shine on the fact of how well critically and commercially Pentiment did last year. But for this year, I think you can't look anything bigger than HiFi Rush. Like, I mean, that game is sitting. It was a 90. It did get the
Yep.
must play sticker. Now it went down to an 89 because they threw some other late reviews in there from PC, according to Retri. But
Yep.
there's some other reviews, Xbox reviews should bring it back up to a 90. I think
I
it's such a
hope
big
so. Yeah.
game. But it is what it is. Retri, I asked you here today specifically because you are someone that works and you have built your channel based on covering the exploits of Xbox Game Pass.
Hmm.
And there is something to be said about something I'm calling the Game Pass effect. Um, One of the things that immediately jump off the page for me, especially in gaming, is if you are as old as I am, or you've been gaming as long as I have, or even if you've been gaming half the time, we all understand that metrics play a huge part of gaming, of the business of gaming. And metrics meaning that the success of a said game was always based upon how many copies of said game sold at X amount of time, right? Oh, like for instance, congratulations to Sony Santa Monica.
Yep.
They
God of
just
War.
passed 11.1 million copies sold of God of War. That's
Yep.
tremendous. They're on track to eclipse God of War 2018. That's even better for that studio.
And
So
easier to do when you bundle it. Just gonna
yeah,
throw
well,
that out
yeah.
there.
I mean, there's something to be said about that, and Horizon being in a bundle. I mean, it's the tricks of the trade. It's what they do. It's fine.
Yeah. Hey, it
But
works.
I am going to say that HiFirush, I think, did a lot of things for a lot of different points of view. First of all, I think the most important thing is show off the talent of Tango Gameworks, which most
Yeah.
people didn't even know was Microsoft first party. Like
Yeah.
most people, the average Joe, no offense to anyone named Joe, the average person, the average gamer, the normie, if you will, had no idea who the hell the studio was. Now they do. Um, but what I think is incredibly important to the Game Pass effect is how this game found an audience for people that normally don't play cartoon games, right?
Hmm.
And I want to bring in Atomic Heart because Atomic Heart is coming in hot. And I mean that facetiously as well as seriously. The game is going to be here in a couple of weeks. They dropped, and I said Mundfish, who is the developer of this, um, and they're not a Russian studio, folks. We got to get that out of here. No, don't buy the game because they're Russian. They are nowhere near Russia. They pay taxes to Russia. You shouldn't hate the studio for who they pay taxes to. They just have to, right?
Yep.
Okay, so end of that. I'm interested to get your opinion on this 8-minute video they just dropped because holy shit. If you wanted to sell your game to me and it looked like that, you're taking my money. Now, I don't have to buy the game because I have Xbox Game Pass, and that's the beauty of it. It's a multi-plat. It's going to be available on PC. It's going to be available on Xbox and on PlayStation if you want. And that's great. Everyone gets to play
Hmm.
this amazing game that reminds me a lot of BioShock,
Yeah.
but we don't have to pay for it because we pay for a service. Retri, let's get into your opinion on the Game Pass effect, and then we're going to talk about Atomic Heart because we have to. A game is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
What do you understand what I'm saying when I talk
Yeah.
about the Game Pass effect?
Yep. I know exactly what you mean. It's self-marketing, right? Let me just go off on a little tangent here. I am liking the fact that Microsoft is also allowing studios like the Coalition to make smaller games.
Yep.
And that only happens, in my opinion. It's not just about Microsoft being the good guys. I think it has everything to do with Game Pass and frequency and the number of games and how quickly they come out. They have
Yes.
found it's working that they split off a little bit, have these smaller teams make these games that can come out at a faster cadence. So there's not gaps. We cannot ever, 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 ever have a year like we had last year, first party. It can't happen ever
1,000%.
again, ever again. So in that regard, I love that they're allowing the studios to do stuff like this. I did not expect Tango, no offense to Tango, to make a game like HiFirush that was that freaking good. I almost said the F word. I apologize.
That's all right, dude.
It's January. I know it probably won't win because games that pop out in January usually just don't have a shot. It's a game of the year contender for me. I love HiFirush that much. That's why I couldn't stop playing it. That's why I already rolled credits on it. I love it. But yeah, so the Game Pass effect, obviously it's marketing, it's self-marketing. We've seen it plenty of times, and Microsoft has said this themselves that once something hits Game Pass, all these millions of people who just try something they never would have tried, the word of mouth, the marketing, the self-marketing from people like you, me, everyone in this chat right now just starts talking about it on Twitter, on YouTube, TikTok, wherever the hell you are. It helps Steam sales. It gives you that FOMO effect, right? Just like Elden Ring had, where I wasn't probably going to touch Elden Ring. Everyone was talking about it. Scores were through the roof. I got FOMO. I said, fine. I used some of my Microsoft points, paid for it. That was my game of the year. You know, that's
hey, listen,
what
real quick,
happens.
Retri, we got some breaking news here. Idle Sloth. Once again, this is
Idle.
incredibly relevant to what we're just talking about.
Okay.
Rumor: Jeff Grubb has just said on his Game Mess mornings that
Yeah.
the Coalition has in fact canceled its smaller non-Gears project along with another project due to the layoffs at Microsoft. The studio has fully moved into Gear 6 over the last year or so. That dude, I don't even know what to say. There
that
you go.
hurts.
He literally
Dude.
just posted this a few seconds ago,
I
which
hope
is
that's not true,
I
but it's
hope that's
Grubb,
not
so it
true because he
probably is.
literally it's crazy because he just talked about about this project being a
Yeah.
thing on the Xbox One Plus 2. I
Ugh.
mean the Xbox 2+1 podcast, and that was just the other day. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that. You get the coalition has over 200 people. Why can't you split off? I don't. What I would love to know is how many people actually made Hi-Fi Rush. I'm so curious. Was it a team of 30? Like, what was the actual size? Like,
Was it all
would
of
it really?
Tango? Yeah, it's a great question.
Right. You know,
Yeah.
would it really hurt? I don't. I have a feeling it wasn't all a tango. I'm sure that it was probably split, maybe. But I'm curious to see with like coalition, how many people were they taking off of the project to do this smaller project versus Gear 6 or the Marcus Phoenix collection, which I do still think is coming.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know, but that hurts. Boom, that really stinks, especially after I was just praising him on that. Like, no, I hope Grubb is incorrect. But I guess we'll see. I don't know if we'll ever hear anything official from Xbox on that regard, but
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
kind of a
this is one of the problems Microsoft seems to have, right? You don't see this too often with Sony. You don't see this too often with Nintendo. Word gets out on a project. Again, it's not done maliciously. When we first learned of this was Aaron Greenberg. He's a VP, right? He
yeah,
has
Aaron. It's your fault.
exclusive knowledge to what's happening behind the scenes, and sometimes his excitement gets away with him. And if this is if in fact that's the case, and this game has been canceled, that they've been working on for several years, from what I understand.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. To me, the layoffs at Microsoft sounds like weak sauce.
Yeah, I don't
I
see the correlation in that either. Boom. I'm glad you mentioned that. That seems
I just don't understand that the layoffs affected Microsoft more than it did Xbox. Xbox saw
yeah, yeah.
losses at Bethesda. We know that.
Yeah, small amount of the
Um,
losses at Bethesda and a large chunk at
343.
343. Right.
I didn't see anything. At least, folks, if I missed it, then I'm a bad host. I didn't see
I didn't see it
anything
either.
at the coalition, and I don't necessarily think that an entire project that's been worked on for 2 years, the non-Gears project, would be canceled because they had to lay off some unfortunate people. I look. I'll say this: we're gonna have to kind of pivot here because obviously we were going to go deep into the coalition making this game, and now we kind of that hasn't happened live on the air. But
Mhm.
I do want to talk specifically about what something like Hi-Fi Rush does for Atomic Heart. Because look, folks, as we all know, and we've been talking about this for years, the inherent value that Game Pass offers, whether you're new, old, or you're somewhere in the middle, in regards to the platform, there is something there for everyone. There really is. Hi-Fi Rush is what's considered to, by many people, including myself, I think Retchy would agree, probably one of the greatest shadow drop games in the last decade. I mean,
Easily.
I don't know what you can put up against it and say, yeah, they shadow dropped this game and it's better than Hi-Fi Rush. I think the quality, the ramifications of this so-called Pentiment size game. That's not when I hear that, I get aggravated. I'm like, there's no way
Mhm.
you can consider this a Pentiment size game. Let me
Nope.
get your thoughts on that. Specifically, Hi-Fi Rush, what it does for Atomic Heart.
I I love the correlation and I love being on the show today specifically for the correlation between Hi-Fi Rush and Atomic Heart because the fact that you invited me on the show, I was literally thinking the exact same thing. I was like, Atomic Heart will be the new Hi-Fi Rush, in my opinion, just because there was so many BioShock fans too, and we've been saying for a long time that those are the vibes that we're getting from this game. It's extremely impressive. I don't know the size of the studio. Maybe someone in chat knows how many people are involved in Mundfish. I don't think they're that
I'll look it
large,
up real
but
quick. Yeah, I'll look it
it
up.
is amazing, like what they've been able to accomplish with everything that's going on. I think, just like I kind of have a feeling like Flintlock is going to also get kind of the same effect. I think, Atomic Heart is going to. I think it'll sell very well, and I think Game Pass is going to be the marketing tool that gives it a huge boost.
They have
I
100 as the studio was founded in 2017. They have currently, according to pitchbook.com/profile/company, which talks about Mundfish exclusively, they have 130
Okay,
employees there.
that's big. That's
Yeah.
way more. That's double than what I thought it was going
I
to be.
thought
So
I thought it was gonna say like 50.
that's what I thought. I thought it was
Yeah.
like 60, 70 tops. So that's great. I mean, maybe they went on a hiring spree. I don't know, but I can tell you, being the greedy guy that I am, after seeing the gameplay in the 8-minute trailer, and I made a video about this the other day, just praising it from the beginning to the end. I hope Microsoft, acquire them. Like it just looks so good. If a team of that size can make a game that looks this good, like I'm ready for that one, and we don't have to wait too long for it either. It's coming this month. I can't remember what day it was. I have it written down, but yeah, I think it's going to move the needle, just like Hi-Fi Rush. It looks perfect for me. Like I'm a huge BioShock fan. It's one of my favorite franchises. I wasn't a big fan of the second one, but the first and third I think are great. And I love all the weapons, and you can upgrade the weapons to make them elemental weapons, and you got your
And
little
they changed
yeah.
the appearance of the weapon, which I didn't even know until they put out a tweet that says, "Hey, by the way, when you change this hammer looking thing, it will change in appearance." I was like, "Holy
Yes.
cow! I wouldn't even thought about that." Yeah,
Yeah, you got like melee weapons that you can upgrade too. That it looks like they'll, like, axes and stuff will freeze people in place, or robots, I should say, and the mutations, and then you have the whole scientific side where they have these killer plants or whatever that take over hosts and change them into mutants that look like, demogorgons from Stranger Things. I mean, it is like it's hitting so many things for me, so many notes that I'm just like, yes, yes, like telekinesis powers, the freezing powers, um, the AI. They've showed some other stuff too in the trailers and behind the scenes stuff where the AI is very. He's a wise ass. Let's just say that there's some great back and forth dialogue and banter between yourself and the AI that's on your hand. That's really, really funny. I think people are going to enjoy that, which is another thing about Hi-Fi Rush that I was very shocked at how good the writing was. I was amazed
do
at
you
the
not by the end of the
humor
game
is
just
so
love the
spot
main
on.
character?
I
You
love them
just
all. Like
yeah
Chai, like
yeah.
it's very unique to have a game like Hi-Fi Rush, and where I can't think of really a single character. I mean, you got the robot Cinnamon, you got Chai, you got Peppermint,
What
even
about
the
the two
bad
detective
guys.
robots
Yes,
that you
like
have to find?
everybody, everybody
It's
is funny.
yeah
Like even the bad guys that you're supposed to hate, they're hilarious. Like there's
yeah.
not a single bad character in that game. I can't stop talking about it. I gotta shut up about Hi-Fi Rush. But anyways, yeah. So Atomic Heart looks amazing. I think the mechanics look really good, like very fleshed out, which is high on my list. Like if you can't nail the game mechanics like
Yeah.
right off the bat, I have a tough time loving your game. You can nail other aspects of a game, like The Last of Us. I hated the game mechanics, absolutely effing hated them, but luckily the story was so good,
You
it
couldn't put
made
it
me
down.
enjoy.
Yeah.
I couldn't put it down, but you better nail one aspect of these types of things, whether it be gameplay mechanics or story or whatever else. I mean, it's Hi-Fi Rush. I'm just gonna say best cell shaded game there is. Period. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Atomic Heart. What about you, Boom?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Atomic Heart is going to hit big, but I think that it's going to hit bigger because of Game Pass.
Yeah.
And if you look at the year that's slated for Xbox and its fans. Like I said, if you are a Game Pass subscriber, there is something to be said about backlogs being a real problem.
Yep.
There is going to be an issue with finding the time to play these games. Almost at the end of Hi-Fi Rush now. I should roll credits today or tomorrow. I'm going to get right back to Dead Space. Obviously, I think next week or the week after we have Atomic Heart. And when you look and I think what we're going to see specifically, Retri, with Xbox Game Pass and even new subscribers is there is, folks. I know that people make fun of me because I bring real life into the conversation about how expensive.
We're gonna talk about cream cheese.
Actually, I go to Walmart and I buy their brand, and it's not as expensive as it used to be. So listen, I'm sorry. I go Walmart brand because it's tasty and it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg. I don't got to sell body parts to afford cream cheese. But with the way the world is and everything seems to just consistently keep going up. And it's scary, folks. It's honestly really concerning for people that have to feed a family that has 4 or more people on potentially one salary, and if you're lucky, in some cases 2. Right? Yep. Game Pass, there is something to be said, because I know that the stigmatism back in the days was it's all fodder,
fodder,
crap,
fodder,
right?
Yeah.
And I think that this year, and no one better to talk about that than you, Retri. I mean, you have Hi-Fi Rush that started off the year. You have Atomic Heart. You have Benedict Fox coming out. You have Stalker 2. That's jumping into the store.
Flintlock, which looks...
Flintlock is another one that I think is going to hit like a ton of bricks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can just keep going and going and going on how many games are going to jump into the service, and a lot of them are going to be multi-plat games.
Yeah.
One of the things that seemed to, and again, it does not. I'm not an RTS guy. I've never been, an Age of Empires. I've never played it, so will I play it? I'm not sure. I know that Boxenberger is over the moon, right? Like
he's the guy that asked about Age, right? For sure.
Just the other day, Retri, Age of Empires 2 in Game Pass, quietly. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was quietly. Pretty. Yeah, it was a little odd how quiet that one was. Yeah, and it's
by the way,
definitive edition too, so you're getting all kinds of DLCs, all kinds of stuff. My first time ever I played Age was Age 4 on PC. I'm a controller guy.
Me too.
It was really hard. It was very hard for me to learn the keyboard and mouse for Age. I absolutely loved it. So from what I'm hearing with Age 2, at least with the controls, and they seem to be good. I haven't played it yet. Hopefully we'll play some today. Everyone's saying the controls are really good because it's not easy to go from keyboard to controller.
Yeah, I couldn't do
so many options on the keyboard, and I guess they did a really good job in that regard. Boxenberger was saying that Age 2 it was pretty good. It is showing its age a little bit, no pun intended, but I think Age 4 is going to take a lot of people who would never touch an RTS like myself, and it's going to turn them around. Age 4 is amazing. Just wait till that comes out, guys, on Game Pass. Hopefully this year. That's what we're being told. That game it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those situations where there are so many genre hitting games. Like, not every game is for every gamer. Like I talk about that all the time, folks. I'm not an RTS guy, and you know something. As great as Age is, and as much as a lot of people love that game, it's probably not going to hit for me because it's just not something I normally play. Like I said this last night on Primetime Gaming. My favorite RTS of all time, I don't know if it'll ever come back, is Aliens versus Predator on the OG Xbox. It is a freaking masterclass released that I can guarantee you 300 of the 425 people we have here never played. They're like, what are you talking about? Aliens versus Predator, RTS. Yes, it had all 3 classes, Marines, Aliens, Predators. It was freaking incredible, man. So much so, I got 2 copies of it. One sealed and one that's opened. I'm a big AVP fan. Sorry. But look, I am going to say that Tomorrow's Breakfast with Boom, we're going to be getting some salt is going to be spilled. We're going to be talking a lot about PlayStation VR, and it's a flop already, folks. I'm sorry to tell you. Preview: Sony bet on the wrong card, because as great as the technology that let's call a spade here. Sony is a good console maker. They make good tech. The PlayStation VR 2 is going to be really good. It's just the pricing is ridiculous. And I checked as of this morning. I can still pre-order it as of this morning. And for Sony hardware, that is unheard of. And the reports of them cutting their forecast in half and then coming out and saying, no, we're still going to ship 2 million is a load of BS. They did cut it because there's no interest to this thing. Kei Asante, Mr. VR himself, he has every headset ever released, right? He's proud of it, loves VR. He canceled his pre-order. That's because there's no interest in this thing. It's too expensive, and Sony is going to do what Sony always does. They're going to support it for 12 months or 18 months, and then you're not going to see any first-party stuff for years. Everything that's coming out for that is outside of the Horizon game is all fodder. It's all shovelware.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you, Boom. I was interested in getting it until I wasn't. When I heard there was no back compat, that killed it probably right there for me. And I didn't have the first one, but I wanted to play some of the older titles, and I was like, they're going to port those over and make you pay all over again at possibly $70 a pop.
Yep.
F you, no way. Yeah. Like, I just don't want to support that sort of thing. Plus, you're tethered to the machine, which obviously was always going to happen, which makes me a little nervous that I'm going to pull my PS5 right off the shelf there. But yeah, the price and the non-back compat is just a no-go.
I had 30 physical games, dude.
Drops. Yeah,
30
that
physical
hurts.
games that I had to sell. For
I don't know how people with the first one aren't rioting in the streets over that. That would really piss me off, because even though it's Sony, I stupidly assumed that was definitely going to happen. Like, I would have lost the bet on that one. There's no way I would have thought they wouldn't have done that, right? It kind of just seemed obvious to not, bend over your consumer base. But here we are.
That's what Sony does, man, and they do it so well. They're just really, like I said, I'm going to pull a card right from the middle-aged gamer guy. He loves PlayStation, hates Sony, and like I said, I don't play PlayStation as much as others because it's my out of the rank of the three, it's number 3. It's not because they don't make good games. They make great games. They just, I wanted to get The Last of Us remake, but I wasn't paying $70. Sorry, I'm just not doing that. When it's $30, I'll buy it and I'll play through it and I will enjoy the hell out of it. And I may even try for the platinum. When Spider-Man 2 comes out, yes, I am buying that, and even more so, probably the collector's edition, like I did Spider-Man 2018, because it was phenomenal. But look, at the end of the day, folks, we have atomicheart. I do ask that you go out and you check out the 8-minute video if you had any interest in that game. If you were on the fence, like you're teetering, like you're not sure which way you're going to go watch that 8-minute video. You're going to be blown away. It is phenomenal. It is unbelievable. It looks so good that honestly, Retri, I'm like, that can't be real, right? Like that can't be real. And it is. And we'll know how real it is in a couple of weeks when it lands on Game Pass. And again, it's a multi-plat, but I think that the Game Pass effect of HiFirush moving forward, specifically this year, there are a lot of people that have talked about, well, like Noof Nukem, good friend of the program. He's not a Game Pass guy. He's a physical guy. He always been for years. He's never gonna
He's
budge,
tired of hearing about Game Pass. He would hate me.
He talks about it all the time. He's like, I hate Game Pass. But listen, to each is everyone's own. But I think that you're going to see the needle consistently move because you can't ignore. There is going to come a point, folks, where you're not going to be able, just on financial prowess, the effect of $15 a month, and in some cases, if you're a savvy and you have 4 other friends, when the Game Pass family plan launches or this year at some point,
Mhm.
when you can say that for $5 a month you're getting MLB The Show 23 dropped into your service, and your Sony friends are spending $70, because that's the thing
Exactly.
that's also embarrassing. A Sony first party developed game is dropping into Game Pass,
3rd year in a
but it's
row, baby.
not being dropped into Sony's very own streaming service.
Oh,
It
and they're taking away all the games that came with the PS5 too, right? They just
we're
posted
gonna,
that.
again, that's
What
we're
the
gonna talk
hell?
about that tomorrow as well,
Yeah,
because Crispy Bomb is gonna be joining us, and he is pretty salty about the PlayStation Plus collection being
so weird.
removed, which is, I don't get it, man. I
I don't either.
mean,
Again, boom, I would have lost that bet. I assumed that was just there forever.
yeah.
Like I definitely didn't expect them to pull it after a couple of
I
years.
mean,
That's so
maybe
weird.
Sony doesn't want to pay for the third party stuff, and at that point, I understand. Like, like, you
That's
don't want to
okay.
keep paying,
That
but
first
to
party stuff,
remove
no
your first
reason that
party stuff is
it's
just
odd.
bonkers. So yeah, we have a big show. Shout out to Diaz 219, good friend of both my wife and myself. We know him for decades. And he's excited for MLB The Show dropping into Xbox Game Pass
Nice.
because, well, why not? But again,
It's a
I think
great
that's
game.
it's a
It's a
it,
fantastic game.
it's a great game, but I think the enigma here is Sony puts out a first party baseball game. It Microsoft drops the bag to MLB, says, "Here's this big bag of money." MLB says, "Thank you very much." Goes into Game Pass, and Sony, who is the producer, the maker of this game, their own first party studio, they don't get it into their service, so they don't put it into their service. It's madness, folks. It's
Yeah.
literally madness. But with that said, we're going to stop the show, folks, because again, this is only a 70-minute show. It's meant to be a bite size, unless, of course, something big happens and then we have to be here. We will be here. But Retri, I want you to sell your brand, brother. I want you to talk about Game Pass _daily, not only on Twitter, but more importantly, where could people subscribe? Check out your incredible daily content added to TikTok, to added to
Yep.
Twitter, but more importantly, added to YouTube. Sell your brand, brother. Talk about it.
Sure. So, guys, if you don't know, Game Pass Daily, I do videos, sometimes news videos, what's coming, what's going, rumors, of course, talk about a lot of Jeff Grubb and Jez and Idle Sloth and all the stuff that they put out there. They help me out a lot. Appreciate it, guys. So it's all Game Pass content. That's all I talk about. I try to stay within the realm of just Game Pass, and that is on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. Twitter is Game Pass _daily because I couldn't get the name. Working on that. But everywhere else, it's just Game Pass Daily on YouTube and TikTok. And yeah, I'm enjoying making the content. I'm not going anywhere, and got a new show coming out actually this Sunday. Gamers Council with Web Dave will be taking live questions from the panel or the I should say the chat, and we're gonna have some of our own subjects because it's a brand new show, so we're not sure how many people are gonna be in the live chat. But it will be a community based show, meaning you guys can come in, say your piece in the chat, and we'll talk about what you're talking about together in the show itself. So, and Dave will talk about more about that, I think, tomorrow. But that will be Gamers Council on Dave's channel, and that will be, I think, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that is coming up this Sunday. And we're going to try to keep it not too long, maybe an hour and a half at the tops, because we know you guys are watching the Last of Us show, and I also am watching that, so I don't want to. We don't want to veer into the Last of Us on HBO. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Real quick, we got to catch up on two super chats before we get on out here. Brett Bingham dropped an additional, very generous $5 super chat and says, if they are stalling before the deal, why then launch Starfield a week after Diablo? There could be because Diablo 4 is going to get delayed.
Yeah, Diablo 4
Um,
might be delayed, and I don't think we believe that they're stalling anymore. I think that was something they
I
were
just think that
thinking
they
about
needed more
doing.
time, and if it does, look, I'll put it this way: if it launches June 29th, that is literally the threshold, the day before the end of the month, that they could fill their promise of releasing it within 6 months or the 12 months thing.
Right.
June 30th is obviously the end of the fiscal year for the industry. They want to release something like Starfield. I think it's cutting it too close. Personally, I hope Starfield is 3/23/23 like I have predicted. I don't know. We don't know. I mean, again, we don't even know if it's going to be at the Super Bowl, even though I think it should be.
Yeah. I think we're
But
gonna find out soon. I think that
we
show
will.
comes in February. This month.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
think
think
it's
it,
coming.
I think they have to address it. They have to give us the date. We'll know the you know the idle sloths of the world are working hard to get that information.
Yep.
And real quick, Calorie drops a very generous $2 super chat and says idle sloth tweeted about an hour ago, says game canceled. That's how I got that info. That's a dagger to the heart. But ladies and
That hurt.
gentlemen, a big thank you for once again supporting Double Barrel Gaming, supporting the new show X Vlog Live that we launched last year. And big shout out to all the super chats that have come in. Those do allow for us to do the big giveaways, and we have a couple of them that are going to be already announced. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have a great day. So take care, everyone. And we will see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.